Everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob for the 70.3 World Championships in beautiful Taupo. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA, Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, SFuels, Right Fuel, Right Time, Deboer Wetsuits, Quintana, and of course our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, Ellie Salthouse, who we have not seen in like 2 years, and we used to chat fairly frequently. How you doing, Ellie?
Yeah, well, thanks, Bob. It's nice to be here and nice to be back chatting.
And it's so funny. I'm in the grocery store here yesterday, and I see Wheat Bix, the cereal, and they're still doing triathlon on the cover of that. And you were, 11 years old when you first saw the Wheat Bix triathlon?
Yeah, exactly. 11 years old, and I saw the box in the grocery store, and I asked my parents to sign me up for the kids triathlon, and that was it. That was the start of my career.
You're 20 years still doing
Yes.
this. I wonder how many pros came out of that series over time. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't heard of any others,
Yes.
but I'm sure there are a few. But yeah, that was 20 years ago this year.
And what was it about this sport that that obviously moved you and made you want to do?
I think I just love the variation, the three different sports.
Yes.
I always swam and ran as a child growing up. I had never ridden a bike before that day. But I just loved having the three different things to train for, and I never got bored, and I could, go out and do one of three things every single day. And yeah, I just love the variation.
I always tell people that I think it's the best sport for kids or some of us adults who are just hyperactive.
Yeah.
It's like you want to you're in the water and you're like, oh, I'm sort of scared. Oh, I'm feeling good. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
Now I have to
Now
ride
I'm
my
on the
bike.
Yeah, and I get to ride the bike. This feels, my legs are a little tired. Oh, man, I'm flying. My neck is sore. I'm done.
Now I get to run.
Now I get to run. Oh, my God, they feel like crap after that bike ride. They're loosening up. I'm done.
Now finished.
And I'm in the beer garden. This
Exactly,
is the best thing.
yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, the sport obviously moved you. And through the years, but there was some points where you moved out of the sport for a while.
Yeah, so I actually, retired, I call it, in 2014 from the sport, just for 6 months. I kind of fell out of love with it, and I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to take.
Yeah.
I wasn't earning any money from it, so that was playing heavy on me. I was 23 at the time, and I just kind of needed some direction in my life.
Right.
So I think stepping away from the sport, I look back and think that's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, just because it actually made the fire burn stronger
I was going
inside
to
of
say,
me.
you loved it more.
Exactly.
By stepping away, it made you reevaluate and realize, I do love this lifestyle.
Exactly, yep.
And it's so funny because it's sort of business is the same way. Anytime you're sitting down in a business meeting and all you talk about is money, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But when you talk about how do we make this widget better, how do we make it better for our customer, the money comes.
Exactly.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's what happened with you.
I think you have to love it to be successful at it. And I think for me, I missed it so much in those 6 months that I was able to fall back in love with it, and it gave me the direction that I needed to be successful. And yeah, that was it. I haven't looked back since.
What race did you have that told you, okay, I can be really good at this. I could be one of the best?
Yeah, so when I switched to long course racing at the end of 2015, my first race...
What was the goal? Was it Olympics was the first idea?
Olympics was the first goal, yes. And then I realized in 2015 that I probably wasn't going to achieve that goal. And that was hard to let go of course, the Olympic dream. It had always been the dream of mine from a young child. But yeah, once I became okay with the idea that I was stepping up to the longer distance. 2016 was the first year that I dedicated to that. And I won Challenge Melbourne in January of 2016.
Wow.
And that was the first race that I've earned any prize money and actually realized that I could be good at this sport or great at this sport. So that was kind of a pivotal moment for me.
And then sponsorships start coming. And
Exactly.
Good things happen when you don't think, when you're not planning on that happening. Having the 5-year plan is great, but it's better to have just, okay, this is what I'm doing today, and that sometimes leads to better things.
Exactly. It was a very nice surprise, and that year I was able to go on and win 3 more half-distance races, and then sign a lot of great contracts, which I'd never had the opportunity to do before. So I think that year for me was probably one of the highlights still to this day.
Yes. Yeah, well, and then obviously just this year, you won 70.3 Geelong, right?
Yes.
You won there. You won Boulder. You won Melbourne.
Yes.
So you're even at I can't believe this. You've been in sport 20 years and you're 31 years old. Yes. But even now, after all these years, you're still right at the very top of your game.
Yeah, I mean, I still love it. And I think that's why I'm able to keep winning and keep being successful at the sport. Like I'm constantly learning. Every single race, I still use it as an opportunity to get better and learn things and try new things. And I think as long as I'm learning and as long as I love the sport, I'm going to continue at it.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Exactly.
And you jumped into Singapore T100. And the hard part is the sport has changed so much. When you get into those T100s, now you've got the ITU guys, you got all these really, really fast people. What did you come away with from that race?
Yeah, I think the T100 is a completely different dynamic of racing. Even though the distance is only slightly shorter than the 70.3 distance, it's very different, and there's a whole different set of athletes with different skill sets racing.
Right.
But I think for me, racing in the heat of Singapore, the biggest mistake I made there was that I just didn't follow my race plan. And as I said before, I'm still learning every single race, and I just made a big mistake there, and I wasn't able to execute the day that I was capable of. So, yeah.
So this year, 3 wins. Last year, 4 wins. And in terms of, in 13th at the World Champs, you love World Champs.
I do.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love every opportunity to race the best in the world for me is a day that I love.
Yeah. And now here you've got, Taylor Knibb is racing and yourself, and then our Olympic silver medalist is racing. It's a great mixture of amazing women in this era with PTO and T100 and Ironman and 70.3, and it is a good era to be a pro.
Oh, it's an incredible time to be part of the sport. I mean, we've got the Pro Series, we've got the T100. We have more coverage and media attention than we've ever had before. And as a pro athlete, that's bringing in money, exposure, and all the things that come with that. And so it's an incredible time to be a professional in the sport right now.
So with this Ironman Pro Series, where do you stand right now in terms of finals?
Well, because I don't race the full distance.
So you have to do 3 of those.
Well, I will complete, hopefully, by this weekend, my 5th 70.3.
Yes.
So I think the best I can finish with only 70.3s is 11th overall.
Which is still not bad. What is 11th is... it's 10 grand. Is it 10 grand for 10th? What is it for 11th?
5,000 for 11 to 20. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, my goal is to finish first of the athletes who have just 70.3s on the board. So, yeah.
Do we see a full in your future?
Actually, we thought long and hard about this, and I think next year the Pro Series has tempted me to try one next year. Yeah, we'll see.
I remember we were chatting about this in St. George a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it used to be a hard no.
It was a hard no, but it's one thing to say do one, and hey, if I do one and do okay, I can qualify for Kona.
But the thing is, with the Pro Series, you can't just do one anymore.
You have to do 3.
You have to. Well, you also have to do well, and you have to be competitive.
Right.
So I don't want to just complete it if I'm going to do one. I want to be competitive and have a good crack at it, so I can see that I'm, worthy of the full distance.
Well, but the deal is, if you go and do an early season and qualify, then forget about it. The Pro Series, you can continue doing your 70.3s, but that's being in Kona. Yeah. Being when the lights are the brightest and the world championship, that's a place Ellie Salthouse needs to be at some point.
Yeah, of
Don't
course.
you think?
I mean, it's a highlight for sure. And I mean, Kona really suits me, the conditions there as well.
The hot conditions are good for you. You
coming
always
from
do
Australia.
well in that.
I do like the heat. So, could be on the cards, but we'll have to get the qualification one out of the way first.
Get the qualification. And
see what happens.
Then you're playing with house money. You can continue, obviously, look at all the success you have with 70.3.
It might take me 6 months to recover from an Ironman. I'm not sure.
But what's so funny is some people, with Danielle Lewis, and she did Challenge Roth, and then, I feel okay. And then she went and did Placid and won that. So everybody's body is different because you've been able to pile on 70.3s.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. That's a half marathon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm able to race usually 8 to 10 times a year is kind of that sweet spot. So this will be my 8th race of the season this year. I think I race often and I race quite a bit. So I think I should be okay with a full.
So forgetting about Kona, what's left to achieve for you in this sport? Because you've, obviously winning a 70.3 Worlds would be nice.
Yes.
That's one.
Yes.
Doing well at T100 would be another.
Yeah.
What else do you set as this is what I want to accomplish before I'm done?
Yeah, well, I think for me, the ultimate goal is to be a world champion, whether that be at the 70.3 distance, the full distance. Ultimately, I mean, I could go after that this weekend. So who knows?
Why not?
I could tick that off by the end of 2024.
There's no question.
But yeah, I mean, I just want to keep learning and keep being successful at the sport. Ultimately, I would love to be world champion across both the 70.3 and the full distance. And then if I could get on the podium at the T100, then that would be life goal complete.
So as someone who's been in the sport so long, how has it changed? I mean, we've seen the bike times just plummet.
Yep.
I mean, how have you adapted to this this large group of ITU athletes who keep continuing to roll over with incredibly fast swim, bike, and run times?
Yeah, so I think the sport really goes on a 4-year cycle, and that depends on the Olympics.
Yes.
When the ITU or short course athletes step up into the 70.3 distance, it becomes a lot more swim bike oriented,
right,
and it becomes a lot faster right off the mark. So you just have to adapt to that and adjust your training accordingly. I think a lot of the girls now are trying to really get their bike power increased so that they have that as a weapon over the short course athletes who potentially haven't spent as much time on the bike or in the non-drafting environment. So I think you just have to change accordingly and read the race and step up when needed, basically.
So I know you're a type of person, you race. You go, you put your head down, you go, whatever somebody else does, that's their turn.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, we're at Collins Cup, first ever Collins Cup, and somehow the race was built around this huge rivalry between Ellie Salthouse and Holly Lawrence. And we're like, I don't know if this is real or not real. And then the swim starts. Yes. And there must have been a third person in that race, but I don't know who the hell it was, because you guys were basically swimming. You guys were going 15 rounds of haymakers throughout that race. Was that discussed ahead of time, or how did all that start?
Definitely not discussed. If it had been discussed, it wouldn't have panned out like that. But I think we gave everybody what they wanted to see. And Holly and I were always friends, but it was built up to be a rivalry between the two of us based on a comment that was made during the World Championships in 2019 when I had a mechanical. So
you were on the side of the road.
I was on the side of the road, and Holly happened to say to me, "That's karma, bitch." And for a few years, I never knew why, so I just chalked it up to Holly not being a very nice person,
right? Which,
in fact, was not the case at all.
She's actually very nice.
A lovely person, and it was just a heat of the moment comment because she thought I had slotted in on her earlier in the race.
Right.
So I understand that, and we're friends now, and we were friends before the Collins Cup came to fruition, actually, but it was found out that this comment had been made, and of course the whole camaraderie and the drama was built up to be a lot more than it actually was. So we were, of course, pitted against each other in the Collins Cup in the match of 3.
I'm sure that was just random.
Oh yeah, definitely random. And then the swim went off, and we've always been super close at swimming.
Yes.
You know, we always come out very close to each other, no matter the race.
Not that close.
Yeah, no, this was an exception. We were very close. But yeah, I breathed to my left, she breathed to her right. So I think it just happened that she was hitting me with her right arm, I was hitting her with my left arm, and we both came out kind of black eyes, goggles askew. It was probably the most dramatic.
The best.
Awesome. Gosh,
yeah.
It was the worst swim for me ever. It was awful.
Because you were probably like full on anaerobic fighting the whole time.
2 kilometers of just fist to the face, goggles coming off. It was, but neither one of us would relinquish the front. In retrospect, like if one of us had just gone on the feet of the other, it would have been a much faster, more enjoyable swim, but no.
Not that day.
Yeah, we're both competitors, and neither one of us wanted to relinquish the lead. So
then Holly goes down on the bike.
Yeah, so we rode together basically, 79 kilometers. And then she came down on the final roundabout, coming back into the main venue. And she just slipped on wet roads and went down.
And you said, Carmen's
nothing.
a bitch.
No, I said nothing. I actually said to her, come on, get up, because I wanted the run battle.
Right.
You know, I thought that's what it would come down to, a foot race. But unfortunately, she was a bit slow getting up because she was quite injured. And then, of course, it impacted her run. And
right.
she was able to finish, but yeah, it
Now,
wasn't
did
quite.
you guys talk afterwards?
Yeah, of course we
You were
talked.
like, I don't know how this got blown out of proportion. But
Yeah. I mean, we're friends on and off the race course. So
that's great.
yeah.
Well, and that's what's so cool about this sport is you can be
Yeah.
friends on and off the race course because she really, except in that particular instance, cannot impact your race. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Most
yeah.
of the time, it's just you against the course and you against you.
Exactly,
And you
yeah.
guys can be nice to each other. You can be supportive of each other, but you still want to kick the other person's butt
Oh, for
on
sure.
race day. Right?
Exactly. I mean, we're all friends off the course.
Right.
On the course, it's a slightly
it's-
different story.
yeah.
I mean, you want the best for everybody, but at the end of the day, you want to win.
You want the best for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you do
Then
what
you can be
do.
friends afterwards.
You'll buy them a drink.
Yeah,
That-
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Now, where do you live in Australia? Do you live? Do you split your time?
I live in Australia, in Brisbane, for about half the year. And then we mostly based in St. George, Utah
Okay.
for the remaining 6 months of the year, whilst traveling kind of out of a suitcase for
Okay.
a little bit of it.
So that way you can go and do oceanside, do whatever you want in the States.
Yeah, we can do the US races, and then we'll spend some time in Europe if
Right.
there's a couple of races we want to tie together over there.
You know, when I look at your career, you have, and knock on this, you've stayed very injury free. I mean, you've been able to string together lots of great seasons while staying healthy. How have you adapted to it's been 20 years in the sport.
Yeah.
How have you adapted to make sure that you stay healthy?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of injuries early on, definitely through my short course career and through the front end of my longer course career. So I think I learned a lot from them, and I learned the importance of recovery and a big emphasis on load management. So I think that's been the biggest saving grace for me in the last couple of years is that I've just learned to manage the load and manage, learn what works for me and what doesn't, and just be able to apply all the good things. And I've been able to string together a couple of great seasons with very, very minor injuries, some of which have just been unlucky, unfortunate things.
Yes.
But I mean, the last couple of years have been some of the best for me in terms of injury maintenance.
You're getting better.
Exactly.
You're getting faster. And with the bike, how have you adapted to the fact that the bike keeps getting faster and faster? You're working with a cycling coach specifically? You are.
I am, yes. So I've had 3 separate coaches for 2 years now. So
one swim, bike, and run.
Yes, I have 3 different coaches. Yeah.
Smart move.
Yeah. So I think that's really helped. My training has changed dramatically.
Yes.
I've gone from using absolutely no data to using a lot of data. So I think it took a while for me to adapt to that, but now that I feel a huge improvement in my cycling. I've just got a new bike as well, so I think that's made a big difference to me as well. I feel comfortable, I feel fast, and I love riding it, which I think makes a big difference.
Makes you want to ride it more.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's a few things that little things that I've tweaked just to make myself feel more comfortable.
Right.
And
Now, do the coaches work together? Because you're working with a swim coach. They're not necessarily always caring what your cycling coach is doing.
Exactly.
Right? But you have those guys working together to basically say, okay, this week is going to be a big swim week. Let's cut back a little bit on the bike. How do you coordinate that?
Yeah, so I have my swim coach, my cycling coach, and my run coach is actually my partner, Zach, and he does the full load management as well.
So
he oversees
coordinates
everything,
the other coaches.
makes sure that, there's not too much of one thing or, depending on the emphasis at the time, he just adapts everything accordingly so that I'm not overloading and getting injured.
Perfect.
And it works really well.
Well, and so having all those coaches in place is perfect for when you do that first Ironman.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
When you maybe do that first Ironman.
Exactly. A big maybe, but yes. Maybe next year.
Now, have you ever reached out to Weet-Bix? They should be sponsoring you.
I have.
What the hell is wrong with them?
I know. I'll keep knocking on their door. But yes, I think everyone knows the story of me starting from the Weet-Bix box at this point. So I feel like, Weet-Bix on my kit would only be
perfect.
It would be perfect.
Well, and then you go out to the races, and we used to have a series in the U.S. called the Iron Kids Triathlon Series. I did the announcing at the races, and it was Lance Armstrong raced there. This U.S. Olympian Nick Rakowicz raced there. So a lot of people over time got into this sport from those kids' races.
Yeah, The feeder events. I think they're so important.
Who would be a better spokesperson
exactly
than someone who got into it from the back of a cereal box?
You tell them. I'll send you the contact, Bob.
You send me the contact. I'm going to close that one.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous. I love that. Ellie, thank you. It's been
Bob.
far too long. I always enjoy chatting with you.
Yeah, let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Ellie Salthouse has been our guest. That, my friends, is the end of day one. Breakfast with Bob from 70.3 World Championships, beautiful Taupo. Tomorrow we got we got a good 6-7 athletes tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.